Music, industry talk, stories, equipment and more. We are Crossfader and this is off the record. Off the record. Off the record.
Welcome back to Off the Record, the DJ podcast with me, Jamie Hartley. We've got two of the team members here, as usual, Danny James and DJ Holland.
Yo.
Danny.
Hey. He forgets to talk.
He always forgets to talk.
I always
in the
forget.
intro.
I'm just...
We are live in Amsterdam still, so this, if you listen to last week's podcast, we had Mojax on as a guest. This week, we've got none other than DJ TLM. So we managed to link up with TLM while we've been in Amsterdam at ADE, Amsterdam Dance Event. And it's the first time we've linked up face to face. I'll let TLM tell you way more about him, but it's really nice seeing face to face. He's someone that he started on YouTube way before we did, and it's someone that I've watched on YouTube before I even made a YouTube video. So it's one of those things. It's really nice to meet face to face, and we're gonna get deep into it here and find out a bit more about his story and his tips for anyone listening. So TLM, do you want to take it away? Tell us, bit of background on you and how you started as a DJ.
100%. First off, thanks for having me.
No, it's our pleasure.
Anytime, man.
And welcome to my city.
Yeah.
Let me just add that.
What a beautiful city. It's my new favorite place in the world.
Yeah. So I'm feeling super comfortable right now at home. That's the fun part about ADE. You got people from all over the world.
They all come
flying in from all over.
Yep.
And I can basically just step out the door and I'm at ADE. So
nice.
Yeah, man.
Have you lived here all your life? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Born and raised in Amsterdam, and actually raised not that far from where we're sitting right now. It's probably like a 15-minute walk from my entire youth. So,
nice. Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah, my entire childhood was like very close by.
Tell us more about that childhood. Did DJing play any part in the childhood, or did it come later?
No, that came pretty early. I mean, I was introduced to DJing through hip hop.
Yep.
First off. And I think I was introduced to hip hop around, 8 or 10 years old. I think it was 8 when I saw the video for Hey You by the Rocksteady Crew.
Okay.
And that video included like b-boying and DJing in there, and that caught my eye like, hey, what is this?
Yeah.
This looks very interesting. And soon after that, I was outside in front of my house breakdancing on a cardboard box, taking the stereo from inside to outside to replicate like a boom box.
Yeah.
And I wanted to DJ. I didn't know at that time, but at that time when you bought music, you bought it on vinyl.
Yeah.
And we had like our stereo set in the house, had like the vinyl player on top. You had like your cassette.
Like stat.
You had the radio tuner in the middle.
Yeah.
And you had your turntable on top. So
whatever.
when you bought music, you bought vinyl. Yeah. So it didn't take long for me to try to experiment with that.
Can you remember the first record you bought?
Wow. I think it was a compilation, some sort of European hip-hop compilation. You had all sorts of compilation, like whatever rap volume.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was me as well, even so many years later. I will have started way later than you did, but that was me as well. First piece of vinyl, you thought, well, if I get compilations, at least I can mix, all these different songs back and forth.
Yeah.
Rather than just having like 2 singles and that you stuck with it.
Yeah. So that was it for me. And I remember just at a certain point connecting like my stereo set and the stereo set from the living room. And that way I could like hear 2 pieces of vinyl at the same time. So you had no pitch, but even then I was like, oh, wait a minute. I had like something with an acapella on there, and I could play it over the other instrumental.
Nice. So you were like already creating mashups.
So that was like a mashup, and I was like, okay, I really like what's going on here. Scratching didn't really come into play yet, because if you try to scratch with one of those players, you would like totally wreck the needle, the vinyl, and everything. But I don't know. It just started at an early age. It just really appealed just to me, everything about hip hop, and especially DJing and scratching.
So moving forward then, what would you consider was your first piece of real DJ equipment, and when did it really turn into a passion and the driving force and moving forward?
I started with a set. It was a Technic set, but definitely not the 1200s. This was like a 3210 or something like that. They were like belt drive turntables, not even with a pitch slider, but with a little knob on the side. You had like a wheel. So the pitch wheel, like a short wheel.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to get it back to 0, you had to look at the light on the side and the lights would be moving in different directions. And once they were like stable and in sync, that meant you were playing at 0 again.
Yeah,
so
the
like
strobe light.
the strobe light.
Yeah.
You had to use that.
That's still
find
on
your
modern
pitch.
day turntables, just no one
Yeah.
realizes what it's
No.
for anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that was the first set with like a small Electo mixer with no crossfader, no EQ. That was the first set. And I was
Nice,
perfectly fine
nice.
with that because I got to mix records and I got to practice scratching. And I was fine with that for at least, I think, a year or two before I moved on to the 1200s.
Nice. While we're talking about entry-level DJ equipment, that was your entry level. But
Yeah.
then coming to modern day, you know, obviously you're someone who does get to play on quite a bit of equipment, and you test out controllers, you test out all sorts of different, things that are available in the industry now.
Yeah.
For YouTube, but also for yourself and what have you. So how do you think that compares what you started with to what someone has available to them nowadays? Do you think it's a good thing, the way that the technology is adapting? Do you think there are things that kind of, tarnish the way that people maybe learn, things like beat matching and stuff like that, with the new pieces of equipment? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What are your thoughts on it?
To be honest, I think it's incredible.
Yep.
I mean, like, it's like such a low threshold to get into DJing, and not professional DJing, but just to be able to DJ at home.
Yeah.
You can buy a cheap controller. There's access to music in all different type of ways, but definitely easier than it was.
Yep.
And you can get started. So for me, that's a great thing because it allows more people to experience DJing and try it out.
Have you got a favorite piece of modern day beginner DJ equipment? Obviously, we're talking, the lower end of the budget here.
Yeah.
Is there anything at the moment that you're currently like, you know what? That is what I would recommend to the next beginner DJ.
I'd have to see. It's been a while since I really tested like the most entry level controllers. I remember for a long time, like the SB and like a Mixtrack Pro, I think 3 were like really good entry level controllers. The SB is at 3, I think, already
SB
now.
3,
I don't even know it's Mixtrack Pro.
Mixtrack Platinum, I think it's called now.
Yeah, they changed names. Basically, it's always going to be those type of controllers that seem to work well, and they add a lot more features to entry level controllers compared to entry level controllers a couple of years ago.
It's cool because you can get something so cheap now that you can learn all the basics, but you can take it way beyond that. You can do way more now on a little tiny controller that you could with 2 turntables.
100%.
So it unlocks that creativity right from the start as well. So yeah, we're a big fan of obviously all the new controllers coming through as well.
I love the technology. I love the developments. And I mean, yes, you will have people, especially DJs from my generation, even a little bit older, who don't like the fact that it is so accessible now.
Yeah.
Because they or we had to put in so much more work to build a collection and blah, blah, blah. I get it. But at the same time, that is what happens. I mean, there's going to be developments and things will change.
Yep.
And like I said, I prefer the fact that we have it the way we have it now. But I guess we do appreciate it more than like the new generation because they don't know how it was before.
Yeah, yeah.
But the fact that they can spend like the amount of money I had to spend to buy 1 or 2 records, they can spend that a month and have unlimited access to music through DJ pools.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I would
crazy.
be the happiest kid on earth if I could grow up now and just have access to a controller way earlier and start playing way earlier than I got to play. So, yeah.
Amazing. So going back to your story, how did you then transition from it being this love and a passion for, just mixing music to then doing it, as a job or, working in the industry? Where was that transition and how did it happen?
It basically happened gradually. It wasn't a plan. That's the thing for me. It was never like a plan. Even when I was DJing at home for quite some time, it still wasn't like a dream like, oh, I want to start doing this in clubs. That basically just happened. So after I played at home, I basically started to do some small parties. So like birthday parties of friends, we would just bring my equipment. Yeah. I would be on the back of like a scooter with like motorized scooter, not what the Americans call a scooter. Yeah. But like our mopeds with like a mixer in between our legs and bags of vinyl on the back. And we would go over to a house, build up the set, play for our friends. And after that, I started to do parties at a youth center. And that it grew from there. I started to do mixtapes at home because I just liked to record mixtapes, but I started to use them also as like a tool to let people hear what I do. Yeah. That turned into more gigs. And at a certain point, I just started to see like, okay, I can basically start to do this all the time.
Nice. Do you remember, were you of age? Do you remember your first club gigs? I'm guessing, were they in this city?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Can you remember those first club gigs, how you felt at that time? You know, was it something you were just super excited about? Were you nervous about it? You know?
I don't know. On one side, you do feel a bit nervous when you first start out because you're still thinking too much.
Yeah.
So you're thinking about the techniques.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes you too long and you're almost at the end of the record and you still haven't done your transition.
Yeah.
So those are the things you're worrying about. And you don't worry about that stuff at home. So at home, everything's perfectly fine. Once you get in a situation where there's people in front of you, you do start to feel things that you didn't feel before. And you basically start to overthink.
Yep.
But that's basically the only thing. I wasn't like worried before I started. But once I started, then your brain kind of starts to mess with you a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's it. I don't really get too nervous. So that never happened. And I was basically so happy to just hear the tunes I like through speakers. That takes away all the nerves. You get to play it loud. And if you get like one or two people like reacting like, you're like, okay, this is amazing.
I think any of us that have played in a club remembers that feeling of the reaction. You know, you're generating that reaction, and that is one of the best feelings in the world. You know, it's what we keep striving towards doing with our
100%.
crowds. So,
Exactly.
I
Feels
think
like
it's
the first time every time as well, doesn't it? When you get a really good reaction, it's like
So it never wears off.
never wears off. You never get tired of that high. It's amazing.
Yeah, at the same time, you feel a connection with people too, because it's like my favorite records.
Yeah.
And you get that reaction, so you're like, oh, you like that too? And all of a sudden you have that connection together. Oh, wait, what I got for you next? And you put that next record on, you get the same reaction, and all of a sudden it's like you're building something amazing together.
So what's the next step in the story then? So you're working, you know, you're getting your first gigs in clubs.
Yeah.
Where does it go from there? You know, where does your DJ career take you next?
Well, the funny thing is I basically went through all the steps, or I traveled different roads of DJing simultaneously. So I was a mixtape DJ. I was like playing in clubs. And around the same time, I also connected with an MC, Dutch MC, who moved to Amsterdam at that time. I met him at a record store where he was doing like a crazy freestyle. So I came in and this dude was freestyling about all the album sleeves on the wall. Just looking around, just grabbing titles and rapping about the titles.
Whoa.
And at that same time, I was basically organizing jam sessions at my house. So I was inviting my friends, and anyone who came had to either spin or rap.
It's really interesting because this is similar to me as well. But in a different scene. So I started off with grime music, which is a big thing in the UK. It's big again now, but 10, 15 years ago,
It was big.
It was big. And I was the same thing. I used to have a load of people in my bedroom. You know, I was living at home at the time. A load of people MCing, and I'm spinning a load of grime instrumentals. They're all MCing over the top of it. So it's a similar thing, just another generation forward or whatever. So
I was still at home as well. And it happened because we were having trouble getting into clubs.
yeah.
Yeah, so partially just racial issues.
Yeah.
You know, not getting in. You wanted to go out. We came dressed for the part and everything, and still not getting in. And at a certain point, you're like, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
No, it's not worth it. We're gonna have our own fun.
Yeah.
So that's why it actually started, and it was more fun. So we were having crazy freestyle sessions, people scratching, you name it. So I met that one MC at the record store, and I just invited him. Like I told him, like, hey, we're having these sessions. You need to come over. So he came over that one time, and it just immediately clicked. And I've been his tour DJ for the last 21 years.
Wow.
And that's like one of the biggest MCs out here in the Netherlands, like multi-platinum.
Props to him as well for
Albums.
still being around 21 years
Yes.
later as well,
Yes.
you know.
Still
Huge.
consistently dropping music still. So shout out Brain Power. That's my guy. Still making music, Dutch and English as well.
Nice.
Did a track last year that was on the soundtrack or in the movie Equalizer 2. And doing loads of different stuff, also songwriting, you name it. But
Nice.
I was DJing in clubs. I started to DJ for him, and like that started to grow because he had like some major hits. So then all of a sudden, besides clubbing, you're also doing entire tours with him, sometimes with a full band. we've done over 3,500 live shows in the last 21 years. So that's taken up a big portion. And I was doing like live shows with him. And after that, jumping in a car to do a club gig later on in that night.
Yeah.
So it just, at the same time, it built up and grew and blew up.
Did that take you around the world? Was it a more local thing? Like, did it give you some experiences that are totally different to the club sets that you were doing?
Mostly local because his major fame was Dutch-speaking rap.
Yeah.
So that brought us, well, of course, here, Netherlands. Then you can go to Belgium, like big parts of Belgium where they speak Flemish. That's like Dutch, so they understand. Then you have the Dutch Caribbean where you can do shows as well. They also understand Dutch, the Dutch language. But he also had English tracks. So at the beginning, we also did shows. We did shows in Philly. We did shows in Poland, France, Germany. So we did get to go. I did get to see like parts of the world as well.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, definitely. But I'm not one of the DJs who's done a lot of like club shows all over.
Yeah.
But I've been around more with him doing shows.
Yeah.
So I still got to experience that.
So would you say
travel life.
your club gigs, it's like residency gigs that are, located here in your hometown? Are you still doing to this day gigs that you've been doing for the last few years, or is it a case of you doing guest spots more now?
It's more guests. I mean, I've had a lot of residencies in just the entire Netherlands.
Yep.
Like definitely in Amsterdam, but also some of the other big cities like Utrecht, Rotterdam, you name it. And now for the last couple of years, it's basically just like single bookings or something that I wouldn't call a residency, but maybe spots where you go like once or twice a year.
Yeah.
So you do get booked every time, but it is, I wouldn't call it a residency, yearly residency.
Yeah.
But you've got that contact there and that and you get that repeat booking. So how did that then move into you doing things on YouTube? Where did YouTube come in and, creating a channel on YouTube? How did that start? What made you think, you know what, I'm gonna start putting some stuff on YouTube?
I'm thinking about the year because the channel I have now is not my first channel. The first channel was just DJ TLM. And that was me switching from using mixtapes as promotional material to let me do this in video format because I want people to see what I'm doing, because I was always incorporating turntablism.
Yeah.
And I just realized a lot of people, when they hear a mixtape, they don't quite understand what's happening when you do like a short beat juggle or even a scratch. So I wanted them to have the visuals as well.
Yeah.
So they can hear my mix, but now they can also see me doing it. So that's why I started to use YouTube. I was like, okay, this could be a perfect tool to show.
And it was
people
your
that.
it was your personal outlet for like promotion, really.
Personally, just a promotion tool. That didn't work out too well. I mean, in the beginning it was okay, and then I just started to get hit with the copyright issues and like videos getting muted, deleted. So I realized like, okay, I can't continue to use YouTube in this way.
Yep.
But I did have like a plan, a passion that I wanted to build some sort of DJ community.
Yep.
At first, I wanted it to be like a website, but I wanted the website to include also like educational stuff and to build maybe a network and have DJs have their own profile and they could get booked through it. And I'm glad I didn't do all of that because that's so much work, so many headaches.
Yeah,
But it was an initial plan.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, I had a urban community website here in the Netherlands with one other DJ, and that was really working. We really started to build like a community / fan base. So I wanted to do that, but really specifically for DJs. And I ended up just choosing to start with the video part of it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I left the rest out and just stuck to the video part.
Cool.
Because I'm still solo with it. So if you want to run a website, a community website, no.
Yeah, you need more than just yourself,
Yeah.
definitely. And it can be a very big headache. This is prime time to talk about social media, since we're talking about YouTube, but obviously social media in general. And we like to kind of ask all the guests, past and future guests that are going to be coming on, because it's a big part of a DJ's sort of, who they are nowadays is their presence and what they do online and how that affects their bookings and all sorts. So I just want to get, your thoughts on how social media, if it's helped you in any way, or how you think it could help beginner DJs out there, or if you just think we need to stay away from it.
Well, staying away from it is like denial. That's not going to cut it. I mean, there's still people out there who want to try and act like this is something they can deny and that will move past this, but that's not going to happen. This is here to stay, and it's only going to get bigger and more. So people will have to accept that the internet and social media is part of it. So yes, there's pros and cons. I mean, I don't think we found the right balance yet. When I gave DJs advice, I used to like give them advice like, okay, you build your skill, then you make your promotional mixes so you can promote yourself, and you have to go out and network. And some of that still holds up, even though I can agree that mixtapes don't have the same effect that they used to have.
Yeah.
But I still feel a DJ should have like a site where people can actually hear something that they do.
Yeah.
But social media just became a bigger part. And for some of us, when you take a look, you might feel that a lot of people are getting gigs through everything else but their actual DJ talent.
Yeah.
That's what social media can do for people. If you have the right type of following, it can definitely help you to get all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So talent is taken out of the equation in that way.
Yeah.
But yes, even if you are a talented DJ, you should still utilize social media any way you can. I've used it not for my DJ career, but definitely to connect with people worldwide.
Yeah.
For the educational part. And that works.
Yeah.
It really works. And in that way, I was able to build like a following, fan base, community, whatever you want to call it. And all of that has not gotten me gigs, but I know you could use social media to get gigs as well.
Yeah.
You can definitely build up a hype, a persona. Pioneer actually just released like a documentary. I saw part of it.
I'm still yet to watch that
Yeah.
about Insta DJ. Yeah.
And I saw part of it, and it also made me realize certain things that I didn't even notice because I'm not at those big events. But I can understand, like, for those DJs that they're talking about, like, people not even enjoying the event because they're standing right in front of a DJ, but they're watching through their phone
phones,
instead of
yeah.
like actually experiencing it. You're there, but you're looking through your phone.
Yeah. And I think that's
Yeah.
a bit of a wider problem, more not even DJ related.
No.
That's just social media in general. And I think
is.
that's a bit of the toxic
But it's-
side of it coming through.
Yeah, but I think it's going to balance out. I mean,
Yeah. It's got to, because I think people are going to get wise to it, and suddenly,
Of course.
people are already getting mental health problems from spending too much time on it and all sorts, and it's, all these things are now being realized. And,
Yeah. Is it true that they already eliminated the likes?
on Instagram?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were.
I
there
don't,
was
have they rolled it
something-
out?
For
They
you?
are doing it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
they
don't
said
know.
it was something.
Yeah.
Yeah, some accounts it's like you can't
can have
see
a
the
look.
number of likes anymore. It's just
Yeah.
a picture, which is the way it should be. Really.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing
It
because
is.
you see a lot of people focus on that too much. Even yesterday, like a DJ coming up to me like, hey, I'm doing this. It's not getting so many views yet. I'm like, don't focus on that
Yeah,
too
that's
much.
not the important thing.
Don't focus
Yeah.
on that. If you start to focus on those things too much, but yeah, it is an issue. I mean, we're talking about like chemicals in the brain being activated by
Yeah.
little thumbs on a screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see it all balancing out, but I think I'm level-headed enough to not get caught up in too much, but I
Yeah.
definitely don't deny the fact that it's there, and you can definitely take advantage of it. It has its useful side.
Yeah, I think it's a powerful tool, and
Yeah.
you'd be stupid not to use it. But also, you can't just rely on it. No. You've got to tick that list of I've got the skills, I've got the things. If you want a long career in the industry, anyway,
should
you
be
could build
everything.
hype, you could get some big bookings, but it's not going to last because people are going to see straight through it. And the last thing you want to do is rock up to a gig. People think you're some big, amazing DJ, and you just and that's it, game over.
Yeah.
So that's what I always kind of push back to people.
Mm-hmm.
Right, let's switch it up.
Story time.
Yes, so every week we try and dive into a funny or an interesting story with either the guests or from ourselves. So, TLM, have you got a story lined up for us?
I'm still thinking about that. So
Okay.
let me just do something else first, because I forgot to say at the beginning of the episode.
Yep.
Kudos to you guys for having scratches in that intro.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's
That was
actually-
Danny. Yeah, Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
man.
recorded Katie's voice and put it
Yeah,
on.
so Katie's hovering around behind the camera. She's not on the mic, but she's taking a lot of
It was like
shots on
It
socials.
was like a full homemade intro when we did we made the beat and the scratches.
Yeah.
And then Katie. It's like a little family collaboration.
It really was, yeah.
No, but I love the fact that the scratch is in there. That's something that to me, it is definitely part of the art form of DJing. I'm not saying every DJ should scratch, but
No.
to me, it is definitely part of the craft.
Yeah.
And I always love the fact that it's being represented.
Yeah.
And it's not really a story, but maybe it is. Like, the funny thing is, when it comes to DJing here in the Netherlands, you have a lot of people that know me from like my club career.
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
also a lot of people in the Netherlands who only know me from one scratch break. And that's because the MC I work with, Brainpower,
Yeah.
at a certain point decided to make a track. The track is called Dansplaat. If you translate that, it would be dance song. And he is really a hip hop head to the fullest. And he told me, look, it's a pretty commercial sounding song. We didn't know it would be commercial success.
Yeah.
He wanted me to do scratches in that song. And he wanted those scratches to be like right in the middle of the song as like a highlight of the song.
Like a guitar solo equivalent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had an idea. He's a hip hop head, like I said, so he already knew he wanted me to do like a transform type scratch, like a classic type of scratch. So that's exactly what we did. I took a vocal from his backup MC at the time, did the scratch with that, and that became like a center part of that song. And even to this day, I run into people, and when they hear my name, like TLM, because Brainpower says my name right before I get into the break. So the track is playing, and then he's like TLM, and then the cuts begin.
Nice.
So there's a lot of people here who just know me from a scratch break and not even from like the club scene or whatever.
That's amazing. Just tell everyone what that track is so they can go and obviously listen to it online or on YouTube or wherever.
Oh, just check out Brainpower on Spotify. He's there with everything. So his Dutch work is there. His English work is there. So Dansplaat is one of the tracks, but I think I've done scratches on probably like 20 or I don't know, maybe more of his tracks. I've produced a couple of tracks as well.
Nice.
So plenty of scratches to me. He actually posted today on Instagram, MC Brainpower on Instagram. He posted that it's the 20th anniversary of his first official vinyl release.
Wow.
That's an English track called The Lyricist, and that track starts out with cuts by me as well.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Nice.
Check that out.
So that's
That's
how
nice.
I was on vinyl doing cuts 20 years ago.
I was 8 years old.
It must be nice though to think that, you know, your kids and in the future you've got something, you know, physical there, that's a vinyl that's got your work embedded on it. You know, it's there. It's a physical thing. It must be a nice feeling.
Yeah, they grew up with it though. Like especially my oldest, he grew up hearing all the songs, and he was DJing like on when he was 2 years old. He was DJing on my NS7 and
Nice.
messing around with like our music. So that's a fun
sweet.
thing to me. Yeah,
That's cool. That's really cool. I've got a young kid as well. There's 2 at the moment, so it's nice to hear. You know, he's obsessed with all the DJ equipment we've got,
especially turntables, right?
Turntables. Yeah, I was telling TLM earlier that it's just he won't touch a controller. I'm trying to, you know, he keeps damaging the needles and
Kid's a snob.
Yeah, he just won't touch a controller. It's a full-on purist.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Ezra does not like controllers.
No,
not even Rain 12s.
no. He tried to put the vinyl on the Rain 12s. Like, no, you don't get this.
That
do
is
you?
amazing.
So anyway, right. Let's get back into the chat. So obviously we get to touch a lot of DJ equipment and play with a lot of DJ equipment here at Crossfader, and I know you get to play on quite a bit of DJ equipment as well. You've got a few links in the industry and you get to test out different products. Do you have, at the moment, what is your current favourite piece of DJ equipment? And I might have to ask this question again because
Man,
is there anything that you're like, you know what, this is me?
Man, I mean, honestly, my favorite way to play is still turntables with DVS. So I'll take my turntables and either S9 or the 72.
Yep.
That's what I just love to play that way.
Yep.
Any particular turntable? Obviously the 1210, but
Yeah, I mean, they're still what you run into in most clubs anyway.
Yeah.
True.
So for me, that's still, it works just fine. I mean, I still have my PDX 3000 as well, the Vestax.
yep.
Played on those for a long time. I felt the reloops once, and I still want to do a complete test. So shout out to Mojax. He will swear by the reloops. And I think he's right. It's probably one of the best turntables out. The 7000 Mark II and those 8000s. I have the VL12s. I definitely like them. I like the Pioneers, the PLX 1000.
Yeah, 1000.
I got
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, you got it.
I mean,
Donnie's
I
got
can
them.
work
You've
with
got
most
reloops.
turntables anyway. So
Yeah.
And what about the controller side of the industry? Anything out there that's really caught your eye in the last few years?
I like playing around with the S4 Mark III.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Because of the moving jog wheels?
yeah. I mean, the moving jog wheels are the thing that does it for me. It also has like the haptic feedback.
Yeah.
That's it's a funny gimmick.
Yeah.
But it's not. I mean, I have stickers on top of the jog wheels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm not waiting to feel that little bump.
Yeah, the bump,
and use
yeah.
that. I'll rather just have my visual with the stickers. But it's a cool little unit. I've taken it to some Brainpower gigs as well where I knew we didn't have a lot of room.
Yeah, yeah.
And I will still prefer that moving platter feel over like the normal controllers. But when it comes to normal controllers, the DDJ 1000 is probably my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
I really love the feel of that.
I would say you play, I'd say, from what I've seen, a lot more on Serato than other software. So obviously the DJ 1000, have you tested it with the 1000 SRT? Have you been using it with Serato yet, or just with the Record Box one?
No, I have the SRT in the studio now.
Yeah, yeah.
So yes, I'm
So
actually
that's your go-to.
testing that now. I mean, feeling-wise, it feels the same as the 1000. So feeling for me is the most important thing because, I mean, feature-wise, they're a little bit different. But for me, it's all about, okay, how does the jog wheel feel and react? How does that fader feel? So when I first tested that 1000, I was like, okay, this is a lot of fun. I'm really having fun here. The jog wheels feel really good for a controller. Fader is nice.
Yeah.
So I was happy.
The thing that stood out for me for the 1000, I really, when I first got my hands on it, and just lending to the scratch and turntables DJ, just the really nice big bold sticker that's on the screen, you know, suddenly it's like, oh, so I can beat juggle on this controller. Now, you know, on other controllers, the little entry-level ones, when you don't have that visual there, or even if the visual was there, you had this like really wide, not very precise light that went around.
True.
Suddenly you've got this nice sticker, this line that you can really work with. So that was something that really stood out with me when they brought out the 1000. I thought, right, this is opening it up way more to the turntablist
100%.
side of the industry. Cool. So favorite DJ software, I'm guessing Serato?
Yeah, Serato still. I mean, I started out with Final Scratch. I don't know if you've ever heard about that.
No.
All right, so Final Scratch was a collaboration between Native Instruments and Stanton. Stanton did the hardware, Native did the software. And they had two versions. The first version was like basically the first DVS that was introduced here in the Netherlands because we could not get Serato in the Netherlands.
Right. Why was that?
There's a company out of Amsterdam, some guys out of Amsterdam who had like a time code system.
Right.
And
so it was kind of blocked.
I think they were also involved with Final Scratch at first. I'm not sure about that, but I know that because of them and like a patent issue, the Netherlands was the only country in Europe where you could not buy Serato.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of people
smuggling it into the country, like.
No, so you had a lot of vinyl DJs. Their first introduction to DVS was actually Final Scratch.
Okay.
But Final Scratch, the first version, didn't work that well. The audio interface was a small circular USB like audio interface. And half the times when you connected it, your laptop said you had a USB hub connected instead of an audio interface. So it messed up a lot of DJs. And when a lot of DJs saw that, they were like, nah, okay, we're good. And that's when the CDJ came in. And that's why the CDJs here are probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And everyone's been using that. Then they came with a second version that had like a Firewire audio interface. So that worked much better.
Wow.
But then it was too late. And a lot of DJs switched. And at a certain point, a friend of mine brought back Serato from the States.
Okay.
And when I got my hands on that and I saw the entire, like the interface, it was so much cleaner, more basic because Final Scratch was a lot like Traktor.
Right.
So very cluttered, a lot of things going on, a lot of settings. I saw Serato, I was like, okay, this is it. Coming from a turntable background, if you're like more of a turntablist, I think Serato is what fits best. It resembles your style of playing the most compared to like Traktor with way too many features and functions that we're probably not using.
Yep.
And over the years, I've tried Traktor a couple of times, had some bad experiences with it. Like I think if you're using Traktor and it's not Native Instruments hardware, it's most of the times not working to the optimum of its abilities. And I mean, I mess around with Record Box DJ, but the go-to is still Serato.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's segment again.
Tune of the week.
Okay, so this week's tune from everyone who wants to go first.
I'll go.
Go on.
Mine is by a guy called 1991. He's a drum and bass producer. He's got a new tune out called Full Send. It's like a really like uplifting, energetic.
That's a fine year to name yourself. Good year.
I'm going to go for an old one, which is Bonobo and Cirrus. And it was just one of these things, I just heard it. Like, I heard it recently. I was like, what is this song? What's this song? Why do I know it? And it's actually because I did this thing for I'd say a few months where I worked with some harpists and we did like this DJ harp collaboration. And it was for this brand who did sort of high-end events and they'd have like, you know, I'd go suited and booted to these events and they were in interesting locations. They had a harpist playing and we had to pick certain songs that the harps would be able to play well over the top. So there's lots of things like bonobo in there and it was very like electronic and interesting and a whole conceptual thing. So, but I heard it the other day and I was like, why don't I know that song? And it just took me back to that time. So yeah, that's my tune of the week.
Such a good song.
I'll take
go for
it.
it.
Yeah, you take the ring.
For me, it's going to be YBN Corday, Anderson .Paak, RPN.
Yeah.
I love that tune. I think J. Cole produced it. I'm not totally sure about that, but I just love that track. I've seen him do it live a couple of times now as well.
Nice.
I just love both of them as artists.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Love the production
Anderson
of that
.Paak,
track.
yeah.
Yes. So that's I've been playing that. There's a lot of music I've been playing a lot, but that's definitely one of them.
Anderson .Paak. I'm kicking myself still to this day. I wanted to see Anderson .Paak for so long. Then he was playing at a festival in our hometown in Leeds, at Leeds Festival. And we went, but it was someone else that works with us at Crossfader, Lawrence. It was his birthday and we all just absolutely we got pretty smashed.
Oh, no.
And I can't remember it. I can't remember seeing him. So I saw him, and it's in my brain somewhere. But I'm one of those
One day
people.
it'll
The
come back
hangovers,
out.
it just wipes
It'll
my
come
memory.
back out. Wow.
So yeah, I'm still
I bet
gutted
he's
about
one of those
that.
guys that's like amazing show as well.
Yeah,
definitely.
I bet.
I have a 3-second memory of it, and we were like in the middle of the crowd, and it was carnage,
said
and there
3
was drinks
seconds.
everywhere, and literally it's just 3 seconds of just this whole band going crazy.
Still
And
best 3 seconds of your life.
and it's almost worse because I remember how good it was for those 3 seconds. I just wanted to
That's all
remember
you need
more
to
of it.
remember. That's all you need to remember.
Yeah.
My tune of the week, I'm sure I might have said this before, and if I have, I don't care. The vocal is still amazingly good, and it's got it all by Professor Green because I can't get over the vocal. The hook she is so powerful on that tune, and I'm in love.
It's got you some emotion.
It has
It's hooked you.
almost as much as Africa by Toto does.
You're right.
We won't go there.
You're off the podcast now.
It's me done. Bye, guys.
You in Africa. Right, we're done. Where are we now? Okay, so let's get stuck back in. We've probably got 5-10 minutes left, so we want to round it up. But something we'd like to ask all the guests on here. I've got 2 questions. First one piece of advice for a beginner DJ out there. What is your one biggest piece of advice for anyone that's just starting out or, you know, hasn't even started out but thinking about becoming a DJ?
I think I'd say do you. And when I say that, I mean is don't listen to what other people say, think, feel. Just go for what you feel, especially in that day and age we live now. We were just talking about it off cam, off broadcast.
Off the record?
Off the record, basically, yes. That there's still like this stigma when it comes to controllers.
Yeah.
I get a lot of people who ask me questions about they want to start, but people might look at them a certain way if they buy this or that. I'm like, please do not pay attention to what people say.
Yeah.
Go for what you feel. And if you find something that works for you, use that and stick with that until you feel that it's time for something new, but not just equipment wise, also what you choose to play. If you feel you only want to play a certain style of music because that's you, do that. Don't feel forced to play everything because other DJs are doing it. Yes, it might affect the amount of gigs you get, but you want to make sure you're happy doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I could play a lot more if I would play more styles or switch to a style that's popular now here. I choose not to because I've done that a couple of times. It did not make me happy.
Yeah.
And I got really scared that I might lose the love that I have for this. And the reason I got into this is because of the love I have for it.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose that. So I make sure I definitely stick to what I want to do and go for my passion, my feeling.
I got to that point where I because it was a full-time career for me before Crossfader, before any of that, you know, I was a full-time DJ. And for it to become a full-time gig thing, I had to take gigs pretty much all nights of the week. I was working 5-6 nights of the week for it to be a full-time occupation. But then the downside of that is that for me to get a gig in my hometown on a Wednesday night, it's only going to be like a student night that is maybe music that I didn't really enjoy playing. So then suddenly I fell into that position where I was like, well, I'm playing, you know, it's okay money. I do enjoy DJing, but it's becoming very monotonous. It's starting to pull me down a bit. I'm playing music at certain gigs that I don't like, but I've got to keep doing it. Like,
I don't know what you're talking about. I cannot relate at all.
No, I've had the same thing with like corporate gigs. At a certain point, started to do some corporate gigs, and like making 3, 4, 5, 6, or 8 times the money I was doing in a club.
Yeah.
But after the gig, I was really like sitting there like, this was not fun at all. I did not like what I just did.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that money's great, but if this is the feeling I have after a gig like this,
Yeah.
no, that's not worth it for me.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to choose something just for the money and not for the fun, I could have done something else a long time before I started DJing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I made that conscious decision. And yes, it has its ups and downs when it comes to your career, the amount of jobs you have. But I know why I picked this road.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure I stick to my own, my own path and not follow the navigation of chatter out there.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's great advice.
So do you.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. I don't know if this changes at all or whether it's the same advice, but one piece of advice for an experienced DJ out there, someone who is working out in industry and grafting away, like, have you got any advice for those DJs listening?
Partially the same, because I know a lot of guys who've been in it for a long time, and at a certain point it just become like their own autopilot, and it's not really about the fun that they had anymore. They're just sucked into a system, and now it has become a job. But besides that, that's of course one thing. I think it's also a cool thing for established DJs who are now stuck in their ways to also just be open to other things that are going on, especially on the technology side.
Yep.
I mean, I know plenty of DJs out there who have found something that works for them, especially the CDJ DJs. It's easy, it's convenient. I know I do it for some of my gigs. You just bring your flash drive and your headphones and you're done. But I do feel like they're kind of missing out on everything that's happening now, all the cool developments that allow you to be more creative as a DJ as well.
Yeah.
And
I agree, yeah.
a lot of the DJs out there, you just see that they have like that. They have so much time in between tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could have been used for anything creative or even anything fun for themselves.
Yeah.
And now it's just being spent
Texting and Instagramming.
texting or fake
Flicking.
knob touching, like the extras when it's not, because they have to fill the time before their next transition. They could use that time for something creative. So if you're already established, you're in a great position to actually represent the craft and the art form. You got your gig, you got the crowd on the floor. They're not going to enjoy the set less if you use your time for some extra little creative stuff in between all of the mixes. So take advantage of that.
I love that piece of advice. I think that's
great.
really
Right.
strong.
No, definitely.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's one of those things. I remember when I was one of those DJs. I was a working club DJ. I was on Serato DVS, but just using DVS with timecode CDs, just convenience.
Yeah.
And when I started Crossfader and I started teaching people 1-to-1 in a studio, those DJs, I taught them on CDJs because we had CDJs in the studio, and I always thought, well, that's the end goal. But as students started bringing in controllers, and I'm like, okay, I knew about controllers and I knew how to work my way around them, but I was always teaching people towards that end goal.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I started really playing on controllers that it sparked in my head, and I was like, whoa, so I can do so much more creatively
Exactly.
with
Yeah.
this piece of equipment. And it gave me this whole new lease of life around DJing and mixing.
It's all-
It's
It's all going to change. Isn't it? I mean, you look at the recent releases from Denon, the SC5000. They've put the full 8 pads in there, and it's still that on the Prime 4, the only piece of hardware in the world that can key shift. So, there is going to be the next level of DJs who come up on controllers, and even the most baby controllers can do pretty impressive things now.
Yeah.
And they're going to go to the club, and sometime in the near future, I would imagine, we will have a club system that has all this
controller
ability,
setup,
all this
Yeah.
ability there for them to express themselves better, and not, like you say, just sit around going,
Yeah.
got
What do I
4
do?
minutes on this one.
Killing time. Let me stand on the table again. Or,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's cool, the crowd interaction. I'm not, definitely, don't get me wrong, I'm not one of the DJs hating on the crowd participation, but you can just tell that they have too much time on their hands.
Yeah.
But there could be the other side to it, where there's no crowd interaction. They've got 4 minutes, and they're just, I'll go to the bar and get a drink, or I'll go on my phone and Instagram this set, which is, it's all good and well, but like you say, after a while, I think the crowd in most nightclubs should be. You should be the center of attention. They should be looking at you. You should be vibing off that creation. And I love that.
Yeah, nice.
Well, I think that brings us towards the end. TLM, thank you so much for coming on
Thank you for
the
having me.
podcast. You know, it's been a great chat. I've really enjoyed hearing your story. Do you want to let the listeners and the viewers know where they can catch you, where they can follow you, where they can keep up to date with what's going on with you?
It's pretty simple. It's DJ TLM everywhere, and it's DJ TLM TV on YouTube.
Nice.
So you'll find me.
Nice.
I'll come to ADE Amsterdam. He's always here.
I'm going to be here anyway. Definitely.
Yeah, so thanks again. You know, hopefully we can catch up again, maybe even before next ADE, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, remember, anyone that's listening, watching, make sure you give us a rating on iTunes if you're listening there. It helps, it helps boost the podcast. And
Good ratings. Good ratings.
Good ratings.
Give us a good rating.
An honest rating. No, give us an honest rating. And yeah, if you watch on YouTube, thumbs up, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and we'll see you, or you'll hear us again in another podcast very soon. Peace
Bye.
out.